All right, so we're gonna develop some film today, but this is the first time this office set up to do that, so there's some things that need to be put back together, a little bit of a mess, trying to figure out how everything fits back together. Heck, I'm pretty sure that this needs to be taller, which is kind of crazy. Maybe when I put everything away, I re-tightened everything down. I don't know. That feels a little better. Want everything to be nice and flat, not rocking, because we need the film to be flat, you know? It's also going to be interesting with her right here. She loves to fuck with my film, truly. So I use my R5 as the webcam for my desk setup most of the time. So I have to pull it off of this stand, disconnect all of the batteries, and actually I'm going to keep this, which is the AC adapter for the R5, which is super nice because I don't need to worry about batteries going dead. It just runs off of AC power. I'll keep that there. Undo this. And the nice thing about this also is that this plate doubles as the plate for this tripod, which my phone is on, but it's the same as all of the Peak Design plates. So it's very versatile. This little Falcam adapter for this little stand that I use for the back of my desk. It's pretty nice. Put it back where it goes so we don't lose it, because if we don't, it gets lost. I'm also going to have to track down a USB cable for my camera because we need to tether this to Lightroom. I'm also realizing now that I don't have my macro lens with me, so I'm going to have to go get that. Holy, 2 days later, and we're back here in the office. Forgot I had a different lens that I needed to grab, so went and grabbed it. We've got the 100 macro here. You're definitely going to want macro lens on scanning film because you're focusing pretty close to the object, and honestly, the 100 is quite possibly the sharpest lens I've ever used. So great lens to have around anyways, but also couldn't find a USB cord for the life of me. This one goes to my Switch, but it seems to work. We got it tethered up to Photoshop Lightroom. Why are we calling it Adobe Photoshop Lightroom? Into Lightroom Classic. Took out some software that hooks into Lightroom as a plugin to convert the negatives, which we'll get into later. But yeah, clearly a mess of cords. I also had to track down this piece, which is like the anti twist piece for negative supply stuff, so the camera doesn't twist on the stand. And I think this is the piece that goes through here, but it came out in the move. That is really the whole thing with the move, right? Like, I put off everything because finding everything in the boxes, even though I was pretty organized when I packed it away, it's still hard to find. So what a pain in my ass it was to get all this freaking figured out, but we're here. We did the thing. I need that. That needs to be much tighter. And then I usually use my phone to level this so I know that it's straight, but that ain't gonna work. If you unplug the camera from Lightroom, you can use the internal level, but being that it's straight down, it does get a little wonky. Yeah, because that's not even close. I wish there was like a bubble level, like on a tripod for this. They make inserts for the hot shoe I guess it'd be a cold shoe attachment, but that's a little leveler and honestly might be a great idea to get. But you don't want your camera to be off kilter when you're scanning the film either, because you're going to be changing the plane of focus, and that's not good either. I think we're pretty close here. There we go. Looks like it reconnected. That's great. Make sure I switch this back. I use it for my webcam, so I switch back and forth between video mode all of the time, and it's not gonna let me do that when it's connected. So I'm gonna swap this back. There we go. And then I never really remember my settings for scanning, so I always have to go back and look. I should write them down, as a matter of fact. But here we are. Let's look at 22 film scans here. Actually, no. Open catalog. Okay. Let's see. Negative supply 2024 film. Let's open this cat real quick. Put this cap on this lens. I love this lens. 28 to 70 f2. It's replaced like 3 primes for me, really. Like, but about a 24, the 50, and an 85. It's like kind of covers that range pretty closely at f2. But holy, this thing is heavy. Let's see. Upgrade the catalog. ISO 500. F6.3 at 1/60th, and I'll play with the shutter speed from like 160, 150, around there, just to make sure that the exposure is correct. But that gets us relatively close for this, I believe, 99 CRI light from negative supply. So we're gonna kick this back open again. And I have the 120 plate here, as well as my 120 film loader. That is dirty. That is a dirty girl. One other thing that I really like to use when I'm scanning film is this timer remote controller. Hooks right into the front of the camera. That way I'm not touching the camera at all. We're not getting any shake from the table being touched or anything like that. I know it's right here in the front. It's really inconvenient on this camera, to be honest, when it's on this stand. But right there, perfect. Now I need to clean this. The thing about 120 is it comes with this glass plate, and if your glass plate's dirty, your film scans are going to have dust in them. I know some of y'all like that dusty look, but I do not. I also need to find a lens cloth. All right, found myself a lens cloth here. Just want to make sure that there's no fingerprints or dust, grime, anything on this plate. Otherwise, it's going to look like trash. That's getting there. I'm using the plate that you can scan the film borders with. I believe their newer version's a little easier to use, but it'll work. I just like the film borders because it gives you a little bit of that frame. Feels nice to see what film it was shot on and all that. There's a beard hair in here. Yikes. Oh, even more yikes. Holy. Oh, it is under this. How? I do not know. All right. So he usually goes back in there like this. you know, you only see the highlight reel of these things, and it's like, look, I made pretty film scans, but it's a whole thing, you know? It's a whole thing to make sure I'm not screwing this up. We do our best, but it's a mess every time. Trying to get it set up, make sure we have all the tools, that all the settings are right, but we try our best. So let's see. These, I want this in the front. These little guides snap onto this base here somehow. Like I'm close. There we go. Doesn't move. This is a nice little piece here. Actually, I don't know what that's for. I feel like this just sticks to that. I'm afraid that that goes to something important. Okay. Let's see, template, session name, sequence, got the file names correct, the location is good. I will deal with the metadata after. All right, capture is good. We're gonna set our shutter to 1/60th, aperture to 6.3, ISO 500, no develop settings. And I'm gonna go grab the 120 film from the bathroom drying. All right, well, we got our film. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a dust off. It looks like I got a couple scratches on here from when I squeegeed it. I gotta get a new squeegee. I'll edit the scratches out of the film, but good Lord. That's the last thing you want, is like have nice film you've developed at home, and then when you squeegee the water off, you get a nice big ugly line down the frames. Now there's a certain way that I believe, you know, I know you guys are going to tell me in the comments that I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the shiny side goes up, the matte side goes down. We're going to find out that I'm wrong here, but that's okay. We're going to give it a shot. I'm going to move this brush out of the way. Kick this open. I'm gonna try and lay this in nicely without getting fingerprints all over it. Kind of a pain in the ass here. And in my experience, this film, you gotta push the glass plate down a scotch, slide this bad boy in. I wanna make sure I get it through all the way. I should have trimmed off the tape leader as well. Sometimes it makes it a little thick to get out the end. There we go. And then this little plate keeps it flat. I'm gonna feed it in until, I can grab it with the roller. And I'll lay it back down. This cable is not behaving. It might be the port on my computer. Nothing ever works as it should. Okay. Now, you want to make sure that you turn off stabilization on your lens, because if it's on, it can just be consistently shifting the lens around, and you're on a stable base, so you really don't want that happening. And, you know, honestly, focusing can be kind of a beast sometimes. I don't know why it's doing this. Sometimes I can get it to show me the screen, and sometimes I can use live view on the computer, which is not working. Focusing can be a bit of a bear. Make sure I have this set to the right thing, which it's not. And autofocus is off, which it's being a pain, so I'm gonna unplug it from the computer again really quick. Honestly, this is why I prefer Capture One too. The connection to the computer is always better with Capture One. There's just something I don't love about Lightroom. Okay, so I try to focus on the edge of the frame when I use the tap to focus here, just to make sure that it's in focus, right? it's like the crispiest part of the frame usually, and like scanning film can be a little tough. I'm not quite all the way in frame either, so I'm gonna scoot this back and center it. Oh, we can advance it more to the center. Make sure I get all of the frame. And it's so hard to line this up upside down. But I just want to make sure I'm getting all of the frame and getting as close to the edges as possible so I'm getting the maximum resolution of the camera. We're going to focus there, and then I'm going to take it off of autofocus so it's not searching all of the time, because it's kind of an annoyance to see that. And I'm also going to take off all this extra info on my screen because it's really annoying. Okay, I'm going to plug this back in so I can remote capture this beast. I think I'm in a good spot. Actually, we're going to check one more time. Make sure we're straight. Sit still, I can read the frame. I'm a little crooked there. I'm going to bring this in. There we go. And then once I start, I don't really want to adjust too much. I use the crop lines or the guides to make sure the edge is straight on both sides. So it's here, and I advance it, get it on that other third just to check they're both straight. So that's pretty straight across. That looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do, plug her back in. How many times are we going to do this? As many as it takes, Kyle. That's how many. Oh, find it. Find the hole. Okay. I think we're ready to cook. Moment of truth. Maybe. Camera's busy. Which means it's not going to work. Holy. Will this work? That'll work. One of the things works. Did not go into the catalog, which is super sick. Might be the cable. Holy. It says it's connected. But nothing's entering the catalog, so it's not working. Let me double check my Canon software. Which might be part of the problem, that I don't have Canon EOS installed, so let's try that. That's the drivers for the camera. Now it's just cycling through. I swear. The USB on this computer too has been shitty at best. When I'm streaming, it gives me grief. So maybe the Nintendo cable isn't the game here. I have another cable, but it's short. Here. We will see. No shot. No. No way. But I feel like it's the cable. Let's try Xbox. Where the Canon one went is your guess is as good as mine. That's super annoying. Let's try this guy. Also, it might be this USB 3.0 port. We'll try the 2.0 if this doesn't work. That's worse. Holy. 2.0? Do we get stable connection there? Nothing. Just computer, not computer. Computer, not computer. That's worse. Yeah. More of a charging cable, less about data transfer, so we're going to look for a better cable. I honestly don't know what this goes to, but it's got a nice L bracket on it, which I like for stuff like this. We're going to see. So my light is hecked. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Oh, that ain't it. That'll do, pig. Same thing, just on and off and on and off. We're gonna try and download Canon EOS real quick. This is making me grumpy. Left my door open to the closet and now little kitty is climbing in it. That's so looking annoying. I hate you. Had a super fun conversation with some friends over the week, and I think I freaked everybody out, to be honest. We were talking about life things as you do with the people you work with and your friends, and I mentioned that I don't feel joy like most people, and that I don't remember the last time I did. And now I think everybody thinks I'm psychotic. So that's super fun. Like, it's not like I don't want to be here, but like, I just don't feel joy up here. I'm happy. I enjoy things. I like people. I love. But like the joy part, I don't know. That's a thing that's a whole conversation for my therapist. But like, I don't know. It feels like there's a cap on what I can feel happiness wise, and joy is not unlocked. It has been put behind a paywall by my brain, and I don't know why. Okay, try this again. That's not dark at all. So sorry if that's a random thing for you to hear. Yikes, I guess. Is it my computer? Do I need to restart the computer because it's big sad? Maybe. Well, I triggered it. It's just looping. Oh, you can see this bullshit, but why? Why are you the way you are? All right, give me a minute, restart the computer, we're gonna try again. We're gonna try again. Me and little kitty are also fighting because the squanch wants to be on my lap at all times, and I'm obviously trying to do something. Her bed's usually mounted right here, but that's clearly in the way of the film and all of what I'm doing. So I put it over here. She doesn't want to sit in it. She just wants to bite my feet or my hands. Not helpful in the slightest, to be honest. Look, your nice bed. That's good. Good kitty. Stay in your bed, please. Nothing is going how it's supposed to go. And I want to cry. It's fine. Restarted the computer. Of course, there was an update. Because why wouldn't there be? Failed to communicate with the camera. Well, that's because it's connected right here. Also, how did we lose focus? What? I do not understand. Autofocus is off. Okie dokie. Try again. That's not autofocus. What did I turn on? The stabilizer. I'm a professional, I promise. Okay. That's off. Do not be a pain in my ass. It fucking worked. The IT gods smile upon thee when thee restarts the computer when the computer is being a piece of shit. That's why we say this every single time, for the record. Okay. That I scratched the shit out of this frame. Wow. That's pretty crispy though. I can see the grain of the film. All right, onward. Jeez Louise. 2 days and several hours in the making, but here we are, doing the thing. That was a beautiful frame. This day I got up so early, 2 a.m, and drug Sydney out of the nice warm hotel, got up so many hours before dawn because you have to take a bus to Lake Louise, no, Moraine Lake, to take these shots. And it's so worth it, but oh, it was early. So early, but so pretty. I had all the cameras, my Leica M3, my Hasselblad 500CM, and my R5. I was taking all of the photos on all of the mediums because it's like a once in a lifetime trip, so why wouldn't I, right? Beautiful. Once you get it going, it's not that hard. The one really nice thing about the R5 for me is that it's 45 megapixels. This thing's got a massive sensor on it. So we're capturing so much of the detail. Oh man, these are pretty. I say that because I can see the color for sure. One really interesting thing about the Cinestill 800, Cinestill 800T, is this 800? No. Well, something interesting about the 800T is that it's tungsten balanced, so color balancing it can be a little tricky, especially at home. Like my lab, the Fine Lab, does a really great job of that when I shoot it in daylight or mixed lighting. This is 400D because I'm smart and I used their daylight balance film. I'm so excited to see these turn out. I really am. That looks interesting. Into the frame, but we're gonna capture it anyways because I really like these. They're kind of just like art. And yeah, that's the medium format. So after all that, medium format's done. Kyle, are you gonna archive this right away? Yes, I will. I have so many rolls of film I have to like slice and archive and put in my binders. Oh my God. I think it's just, it's hard for me to just sit and do that. I just need to put an audiobook on and just go to town, but I'm so very terrible at doing that. So now we switch everything over from the 120 setup to the 35 setup, which is going to take a minute because this comes off the film carriage. And then we need the 35 carriage, which it looks like I don't have the borderless inserts in there. Maybe. We'll look. Maybe I do. So there's two different ones that can go in here. You just remove these screws here and these screws here. But looking at it, those look smaller than these. So I do believe these are the bordered, or shooting with the film borders. So you get some of the sprocket holes and stuff. So we're gonna grab that other film. I have to change the plate on this as well. Not hard, but I'll have to readjust the camera height as well because these frames are obviously much smaller. The 100 is a fixed focal length lens, so move your body or the copy stand to fit the frame in. So these little screws come out like so. This plate pops down. I'm prepared, and I have, that's interesting, the 35 here, which the 35 has another extra piece to hold that on, which goes right there. Yes, please touch all of the buttons on the computer, little kitty. So helpful. And then it just pops right in. Their stuff is all very plug and play, so put the screws in where they go. Doesn't take too long, but it does stop your workflow. Of course, I have one 120 and one 35. I developed another 35, and it actually had nothing on it, which I don't know if I ran it through a camera and it rewound and I didn't mark it as new still, or if the camera wasn't functioning. Probably the former, because I'm dumb. But that's part of the game of film. Wasting $15 because you can't remember what you did, and not great. So I'm gonna adjust these so that it sits flush. Also gonna pull this in as close as I can. I'm gonna put the film in this before I really adjust the camera because that frame feels pretty good. Oh, backwards. But I want to see the film in it first. Okay, grabbing film. Okay, shiny side up. But which way is the top of the frame matters. It looks like that's the bottom, so we'll put it in this way. That's frame 1 right here. This looks like Mexico. So I went on a trip in October for work for Vivint, and I took my film cameras, and one of them was a humanitarian trip to build houses, and then the second half of that trip was for the incentive portion, so it was at a resort. One thing I'm already seeing, like this film's not expired film. Some of my expired film tends to curl pretty hard because of how old it is, and the inserts that, so you can see the sprocket holes and the film borders, don't hold they got better in the second generation, but this generation it's the film tends to like bow a little bit, so some of my frames are a little bit out of focus, so I'll go back to the other inserts for this film carriage if it's doing that. This one is a kind of a pain though, because like I can see the end of this curling and it's not going to go through, so it falls out of these very small, because it barely holds onto the edge of the film, right? Because I want to capture the edges of the film, so you kind of have to be gentle and patient. Patience, a virtue that I struggle with here. And also I usually use a knife or a letter opener to guide the film because my finger's too fat for this to work very well. I try to just get that first little edge. Of course, I did not trim it well in the dark, and I didn't trim it again when I sat down, because why would I do that? Make life easier for myself. Of course. And it is not in this at all, so I try to just, there we go. Nice and easy. Looks like this is Kodak 200, so gold. It might be expired. If it's 36 rolls, it's new. If it's 24, it's old, I think. Don't quote me on that. I might be full of shit. Okay, so you can see here, well, my frame's out of focus. Let me refocus it. Well, that's fine. You can see that it's not taking up all that much room in the frame, so that's wasting sensor space for these photos. So I'm gonna lower the camera, which the new copy stand that they have is really, really great. But we're gonna loosen the back, which tilts it, unfortunately. So we gotta be careful. Lower it so we fill the frame as much as possible. And if it's not in focus, your frame isn't. Little kitty, that is unhelpful in the slightest. What are you doing? That doesn't even make sense, Kyle. You're a fool. Bro, get your head out of the frame. This is what I have to work with. If I lock her out, she's gonna destroy my carpet. But this, what are you doing? There's nothing in there. Lord help me. Hey, can you please don't do that? Yes, please step all over the film. Just what I wanted. Thank you. So, because I wasn't in focus, it was way off of alignment. We're getting there. That feels pretty good. I'm gonna go a little lower still, because it's hard to see the edges of the frame too on the screen. I'm like, am I the edge of the screen or am I the edge of just the darkness here? Honestly, I probably could use a flashlight to illuminate the black to help me with that. Yeah, I'm off for sure. I need to turn this up. That's not near as bright as it should be. There we go. So now I'm seeing there. Hey, what are you doing? Please get down. Yes, you're a nightmare. You're a nightmare. But she's so cute. She's so cute. Yes. Now there's hair everywhere. This is my life. Okay, I need to see. Okay, that's pretty close. Now I'm going to use my guides again to line up the frames of the film. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I need to lock the camera down though. So it's going to change a little bit. Oh, a lot of it. Yikes. Yeah. That's very annoying. Okay. Can we slide it straight? Maybe. That's good. That's good. Now I just need to focus, which is here. Pretty sure I'm not set on the right focus settings either. Dot. Okay, perfect. Okay, we're focused. Manual focus there. Okay, first frame. Try to center it, and then I try to like only move this a certain amount of times so like the film is in the same spot for cropping. So I try to use the crop line a little bit. So I'm gonna scoot this a little. There we go. Honestly, that's pretty nice. That's really, really nice. Okay. And now this is being weird. Love this for me. I don't even know what she pushed. All of the buttons. Thank you. Okay. Frame. That is zoomed in, but that is sharp, and that's what we want. That doesn't look super straight. We need to fix it. Fix it. Little Katie's got the zoomies. Okay. Try this again. So that's still not straight at all. There we go. Maybe there. Am I recording? I don't remember. I am. Okay. That feels a little straighter. It'll be less work in the end. Okay. Perfect. And that's something moved. Didn't like that. That's a picture of a kitty. And next. There. Honestly, cropping these frames in Lightroom might be the most time-consuming piece of this whole process. I say that after I just spent how long getting this set up? It might be the most tedious. But once you get rolling, ha, that's a pun. It's not too bad. Let's see, there we go. Pretty girl. Pretty palm trees. Did I get a picture of myself somehow? Wow. See, these are fun because it's been months and I don't know what's on here. Also, this edge of the frame is pure white. So that crop is gonna be fun. Same with this one. Yikes. Similar frame. Oh, look at that. Another photo of me? How is that possible? food. Cute. I look rough in negative form. Don't know what that is. My back hurts. Bad posture king. That's why this chair came with this. Use it for back support, you dumb. Look at that. Now your back doesn't hurt. And yes, I talk to myself like this even when there's not a camera rolling. This frame is interesting. Is it toward, oh, it's the end. So the camera advanced as far as it could, but the frame didn't have enough for 2 full frames here at the end. So we have a bit of an overlap, which is kind of fun. Airplane? Nice. I think I was just trying to kill the roll so I could develop it as soon as I got home. 6 months later. All right, scanning is done. Now we move over here to do the work that's tedious now that everything is done. Okay, turn this off. Boop.